And when that turns red, that means it's live for the whole world. So good morning, everyone. This is January, what, Theo? January 4th, 2016. We are here in Las Vegas, Larson Training Center, soon to be Larson Business School, at what, about 8:30. Going to do a review of the TED Talk we watched on David Logan, who's actually doing the TEDx. So who is David Logan, first of all? Let's start with that. PhD from USC. Okay, so he's a professor in the business school, and he has a PhD. So he's in the business school at USC. I think he teaches marketing. I don't know. But written a couple books, reputable guy. So for the new people and people who don't quite remember, how do we start these? Theo, what's the first question? This is week number 20. Theo. Okay, what's the first question? We always ask. Was he a good presenter? Right. So let's start with Marty. Was he a good presenter? Yeah. Why? He what? Okay, so I think that's a good answer. So good presenters. So there's a difference between somebody who presents and somebody who's persuasive as a presenter. Good attorneys, trial attorneys, do both. They're good presenters. They appeal to people's emotions because they're telling them a story they want them to believe. They're good presenters and they're persuasive. So we break this into two parts. Are they a good presenter? And second question is, are they persuasive? Good presenters are good because they appeal to people's emotions. Now, before you do this, a lot of people get confused thinking you're a good presenter because you're persuasive. You can be persuasive and be a bad presenter, right? You can be a very good presenter but not be persuasive at all. But you're a good you're a good presenter because you're hooking into people's emotions. And if you can't hook into people's emotions, they probably won't believe you. And they're going to come away saying things that we say. I couldn't follow, right? We've had that experience. People who are not good presenters, when we get to where they're persuasive, a lot of times people say, no, I wasn't persuaded. Why not? Because it was going too fast. I didn't get it. I didn't understand what they were saying. So to be effective at work, you need to be a good presenter and you need to be persuasive. In law school, one of the things they teach you when you're doing trial practice is, here's what you need to do to be a good presenter and be persuasive. First of all, you tell people what you're going to tell them. Then you tell them. And then you tell them what? Tell them what? Again, what you told them. Okay, tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them, and then tell them what you told them. So a challenge I had with this, just skipping ahead a little bit, was he said there's 3 things I want to talk about. But he wasn't clear what the 3 things were. I've seen this my notes here, watching it 5 times. I get to the same point. I sort of get the first one, which was leaders talk at all levels, all 5 levels. But then I couldn't get number 2 and number 3. Now, if he was trained as a lawyer, that wouldn't have happened. He would have started off very clearly. There's 3 things, 1, 2, 3. And then he would talk about 1, he'd talk about 2, he'd talk about 3, and then he'd summarize by saying, those are the 3 things, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so was he a good presenter? Did he appeal to emotions? Did he appeal to any of your emotions?
I was engaged, interested, but I had a problem as well. I'm still trying to figure out what stage 5 was.
Okay, so, but as a presenter?
As a presenter, I thought that the information was good, the graphics were good.
Okay, what emotions did he get out of people?
Lighthearted laughter.
Okay, lighthearted laughter. We got people laughing, thinking it was funny. Did anybody feel any negative emotions when he had the stage 1 prison picture? We said, this is kind of hard to look at. Okay, so he kind of fell flat on that. He didn't really make you feel what it feels like to be at stage 1.
No.
He talked about it, but you didn't feel it.
Could have used a picture of a homeless guy.
Okay.
Something visual.
Well, yeah, the picture was the guy that shot up Virginia Tech.
Wasn't good enough.
That was the guy, but nobody knows that guy anymore. But this was filmed right after that happened.
What about life is great and use truth and reconciliation? I mean,
Okay, so that one was kind of stretched too. So did you find that he was a good presenter? Did you have any emotions that you noticed in yourself?
No, just other than listening.
Okay, what about laughing? No chuckles at all?
No, I did not.
Okay. I noticed Rashawn chuckled
Yeah.
at the end when he talked about, what was it you chuckled about? Was it the King George? No, TEDx, something. But I noticed you chuckled.
He was saying that speaking on stage 3, he's saying that I'm great, but you're not.
Yeah.
He called it England, and he's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, right, sorry. For those of you from England. So, Dave, did you see any emotions that tapped into you?
Again, I've seen it 3 or 4 times now, but maybe because I've been to college, university, I was able to follow along with it very well.
Okay, but as a presenter?
Yeah.
Any emotions? Laughter? Okay.
Yeah.
And what about when he talked about the stage 2, when he said, how can people be so dumb and yet live? Anybody relate to that?
Yeah.
In more than just a funny way. Oh,
Really?
yeah, now I remember what it's like when I go into the DMV. It's horrible. Does anybody ever get that sense of thinking about having to go to the DMV? It's a big waste of time. Okay, so a good presenter would drill down more on how you feel when you go to the DMV, other than a good funny line of how can people be so dumb and yet live? Okay, so question number 2, was he persuasive?
Yeah,
Okay, so Thea, what did he persuade you of?
especially what you just got through saying, how you can be so dumb, yet you be so real by standing in the DMV line.
Okay,
That reflect me back on when people stand in the welfare line trying to get food stamps, they know.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, so you're bringing up a good point. Let's deconstruct on that, or let's focus on that for a second. Who was he saying is so dumb and yet live? Who was he talking about?
Try.
No, he's talking about the people who work in there, not the people standing in line.
Right.
The picture was the people standing in line, but he's talking about the people that are there. Because when you're sitting there in front of somebody at the DMV, most of us are thinking things like, how could this person be so dumb? Why are they so stupid? Why does it take so long? Why are they hassling me? Boy, this system could really be a lot better. Does anybody ever feel that in the DMV? Man, if I was running this place would really be good. That gets to his point that you should have written down, but you need to write it down. Culture makes the difference. So he's saying if you work in a culture like the DMV, you're going to act dumb. Because people that are at the DMV, when they're on breaks, what are they talking about?
How bad the DMV sucks, the people.
And life, right? God, my weekend sucked. I did this. I had to buy card, blah, blah. What they're doing is complaining. And so his point, then when you get forward to at Zappos, the point he's really making is the people at Zappos on their break, they're not complaining about their lives. They're talking about how much they like working at Zappos.
I mean, work's so great, they don't even need a break. Their whole day's a break.
Exactly. So, what is the fundamental thing you should be persuaded of? Would you say? Would you think, just off the top of your head?
When it comes down to what his steps for just in general.
Well, in general, what's the broad thing you should be persuaded of from that talk? The ultimate, most broad thing.
Learning all 5 steps to get yourself on.
Okay, well, so even more broad than that. So I'd say you're on the target. The bullseye would be sort of the first thing he said in his summary is, we all form tribes. That should be the first thing you need to be persuaded about, because if you don't believe that there are these tribes and we're part of tribes and there's these 5 stages of tribes, if you don't believe that, then you can't really believe anything else, right? So what's the point of that? The point of that is when you go into work or you go back to the house, or you go back to where you are, what we need to do is get in the habit of figuring out, well, what stage tribe am I in right now? What do you think it is when you go into one of the churches around here on Sunday? What stage tribe is that? Okay, well, it kind of depends upon the church.
Stage 2 or stage 3.
But the idea of a church should be what? Should be my life sucks?
No.
Should be life sucks?
No, it should be life is great. Life is great.
Life is great. Should be that way. Should it be I'm great, you're not?
No.
Okay, it shouldn't be. But
The churchgoers is
But depends on-
possibly.
okay, depends on what kind of cars people drive and what they want to have in the parking lot of the church and how dressed up they want to be to show people I'm great, you're not. But it should be, the purpose of church should be life is great. You know, we should accept the blessings that we have from the invisible man in the sky. Right, Theo?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So let's put on the board the 5 tribes, the 5 stages. Okay, what's stage 1? Right, so. Okay, and so what was his main thing about that?
People become loners, form groups with other loners, dangerous groups like gangs, prisons.
Yeah,
Non-
so they get around other people who feel the same way and they systematically want to bring the system down. So life sucks. 2 is what?
My life.
My life sucks. Okay, 3,
I'm great, and then parenthetically, you're not.
right. 4,
We're great. Oh, okay. My bad.
okay, and 5.
Life is great. Yeah.
Okay, now what are the percentages?
5, 25, 48, and 20. Oh, I'm sorry, 2.
Yeah.
5.
2,
Oh, so now it's 5. 1. Hold on. Number 1 is 5%.
No, number one's 2%.
I think it's stage 5 is 2%.
No, stage 5 is also 2%. So
Yeah.
2, 25, 48, 22, and 2.
right,
Thank you.
okay. And so yes,
That's
it's Bell.
yeah.
Most of the people, 96% of the people are in there. And he said, so number 1 thing is we all form tribes. That's what we do. Birds fly, fish swim, people form tribes. We are not the lone wolf people out there. We're not genetically programmed to go off in the woods and be by ourselves. Some people do that, but of the 7 billion people in the world, how many do that? 2% of the people are lone wolves. They just don't want to be around anybody. I don't think so. I think it's a very small number of people who just hate everyone else. Okay, so these are the tribes, and for our purposes, how we take this back and help us with employment, it's to recognize wherever you walk into a group of people, that's some kind of tribe, okay, for your work environment. So I would say at Fifth Avenue Restaurant Group, that's where they are. Okay, they are definitely at a we're great.
Okay, so who did he use as an example for 5?
5 was truth and reconciliation.
Oh, okay, so I lost the word against 5.
Yeah. Okay. So had he gone to law school instead of got his MBA, he would have very early on said, here's the 5 stages. Life sucks. My life sucks. I'm great. You're not. We're great. Life is great. Then he would have talked about each one of them. And then he would have come back and said, so those are the 5 stages, and repeat them over. Repeat them over and over and over again. So, number 1 takeaway is we all are part of tribes, and the tribes we walk into change all the time. You know, what we want here is to get people to think that this school is a great school. Saturday, I had to go to LA to be at the LA campus and took John Wynn, the guy with the cane, to see that campus because he's going to help out recruiting, et cetera. And there, when they talked to Rose, who runs that campus, and this is her 20th year, January marks the 20th anniversary of her being employed at the school. Before that, she was a student. But her thing, because she's dealing with dislocated workers, her thing was, postal worker, worked for the post office. Our typical student in California has worked for the post office for 25 years. So they got their body just wore out carrying the mail bag. But their union contract is they get to go to school for whatever. And then if they pass school or get a job, they get paid 75% of their highest pay. And the typical postal worker we have was making almost $40 an hour. So their union contract, you break your body down after some number of years, they're going to make sure you get paid $30 an hour for the rest of your life. That's your union thing. But there, Rose, when they described to Rose, what do you do here? Her thing is, these people need to be heard, listened to, felt. Sometimes they just need a hug. And so, but their goal isn't to go get a job. Their goal is to get their pension, their $30 an hour. The hoops they have to jump through after they get injured is they have to graduate from school. And so Rose is dealing with people who have a lot of emotional trauma because they had a job. A lot of them don't feel they should have been let go. I can keep doing it because they've been in pain for a long time. I can keep doing it. Let me get back in the game, coach. God, this sucks. I'm only 60 years old. I'm only 55 years old. I'm never going to get another job because I've carried a mail bag for 25 years, etc. So a lot of her thing is pat on the back. Here, it's not that. Our thing here is we treat you like adults. We expect you to act like adults because employers want to hire adults. Most of the people in California, their ambition is not to get stable and meaningful employment because they have a guaranteed check if they can get through school.
So they retire.
They retire, they get a low, just a job working, cleaning kittens or something. Because the government will pay them $30 an hour. So they're going to make $30 an hour. And they'll pay that kitten cleaning company 75% of the minimum wage that they get paid.
And they can keep that too.
No, they only get $30 an hour, but if they get 10 from their job, the government's going to pay them 20. But of that 10, they're going to pay the employer $750.
So anybody will hire.
Exactly. So their thing is different. Our thing, especially here, is getting people to step up and do a thing. Okay, so we're going to break here. We missed John, but I meant to tell